Hey everyone, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the 2020 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited EcoDiesel. Now the weather outside is awful, and we're a little strapped for time this weekend because I'm getting ready to go on a trip in the Civic Si down to Tennessee, so definitely be sure to look out for those videos. Just going to do a quick review on the Wrangler Rubicon. There's going to be no fancy intro, just do a little walk around, some driving, talk about it a little bit, get Chris's impressions, and wrap things up. Listen to that smooth 3-liter diesel come to life. Ooh. Music coming on there. So I already got this thing absolutely filthy filming a POV video for the Winding Road channel. Be sure to check that out. This thing is in the pumpkin orange color. Looks pretty snazzy, all lifted up on its 33-inch tires. I don't know if this is exactly how I would buy one if I had the money. This specific one is 65 grand, but it does look pretty sweet. I've liked having it around, coming up, seeing it in the driveway. I've actually got some cargo here. You can see the seats fold down nice and flat. There's a good amount of room back there. Heading out to the recycling center. Some scrap metal money. I love the interior of the Jeeps. They're functional, they're comfortable, they're well thought out, they look cool. Everything's really solid, chunky. It's got a really satisfying aura to it. Now, emotion has been a theme for the last week or two here at Daily Motor. Last week we had a few trucks around. We had the Toyota Tundra TRD, the Titan Pro 4X. Now we've got the Wrangler Rubicon and a Honda Civic Si. These are all cars that are exciting on an emotional level. Well, other than maybe the Titan. They're not necessarily the best in their class, but they're cool. And there's something that people like about that, and I gotta agree. It's always exciting to get behind the wheel of a Jeep, but I've actually enjoyed having this one around more and more than I thought I would. There's some things about daily driving that Jeeps just aren't good at. They're loud, they're not very fuel efficient, the ride is all over the place, the steering's just vague. Look at all this play here in the wheel. The car's barely moving, and I can move about 10 degrees and have nothing happen. But when you stop evaluating these cars on their absolute driving dynamics and evaluate them on how they make you feel and how they fit into your day-to-day life, it kind of becomes enjoyable. Sometimes it's tough to evaluate these sort of cars when you're not the one paying for them. It's the fact that this is a $65,000 purchase. Yeah, it's super easy to get in and be like, man, this thing's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I like it. But after a week, I give it away and don't have to deal with the payments, don't have to deal with the maintenance, the upkeep, anything like that. So it's hard to really give an accurate evaluation on the value of this vehicle. It's easier for me to just tell you kind of how it makes me feel and allow you to make the other sort of judgments based on your life situation. Maybe you want to lease, maybe you want to buy used, maybe you have all the money in the world and you just want to buy new. If Jeff Bezos is watching my review, then hey man, go out and pick up 5 of these. So what I'm telling you isn't in the context of its cost or in the context of other vehicles that drive better than this or anything. I'm just telling you kind of how this vehicle's made me feel driving it around and having it for the last week or so. Initially, this wind noise that you can hear now drove me nuts. I was like, well, that's a huge reason not to have a Jeep. It's terrible. But I gotta say, I've kind of gotten used to it. This Jeep has the Freedom Rider retractable automatic top, and it's absolutely the one I would go with if I were balling out on a Jeep. You just press this button right here, and automatically the top goes all the way back past the second row of seats. Easy. Sure, it adds weight to the top of the vehicle, and it costs a few $1,000s, but it is definitely the way to go in terms of ease and usability for the tops on the Jeep. Now, if I owned a Wrangler, it wouldn't be very often that I would be off-roading it. But it's cool to have the option. It's nice to know not only, could you take it over pretty much any sort of off-road trail or park or anything that exists, but what's more comforting is just knowing that you can fly down any sort of dirt road, any two-track, any driveway, in any sort of weather condition, and just know that your vehicle's going to handle it. It's going to be tough, it's going to be durable, it's going to be capable. Now, I've driven all three powertrains available for the Wrangler, and this EcoDiesel is by far the best of them. Unfortunately, it's also the most expensive, and it's not available with a manual transmission. It's also, at least for this launch year, only available in 4-door models. So if you want to get this diesel, you're going to be paying at least about $38,000 for a 4-door Wrangler Sport model. Whereas if I were buying a Wrangler, I would be getting probably the Sport S 2-door with the manual transmission, very limited options, and I'd only be paying somewhere around $28,000 to $30,000 range before any sort of incentives. Now the V6 in this Wrangler is good, the 2-liter turbo in this Wrangler is very good, but this diesel just has a pull to it that's borderline exciting. It sounds cool. It's not too loud or clattery, although it does sound very different than a gasoline motor. And it's relatively efficient. Driving around in all sorts of driving conditions over this last week, that includes idling, off-roading, highway, I'm averaging, it says right now, 20 miles to the gallon. But I know from little stints of individual types of driving, that 25 mpg of mixed driving is definitely attainable. Now the Rubicon's got bigger tires, it rides a little higher, so it's not going to get quite as good a fuel economy as a Sahara or a Sport model. And I don't know if you would really break even in the long term paying a little extra for diesel fuel than you would be for just standard regular gas. You also don't get any extra towing capability with the diesel. And you've got to add DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. So at the end of the day, the diesel might not save you any money, and it might be a little bit of a hassle when it comes to adding fluid, possible maintenance in the long term. But it's really a smooth operator. Now come to think of it, the more I think of it, I definitely wouldn't bend over backwards to get the diesel. It's a shame because I like the motor, but you just have so many compromises with it. Whereas you could just get the 2-liter turbo or the V6 and have a stout, reliable, efficient motor for a lot less money. I don't know, let me know in the comments if you think you would opt for the diesel in the new Wrangler or if you'd be sticking with the gasoline options. What I'm really excited for are the plug-in hybrid options on the Wrangler. I really hope there's an inexpensive 2-door plug-in hybrid option. I would really love to just be able to plug in my vehicle at home, have my Jeep totally charged up, drive it in EV hold mode to an off-road trail, and then off-road at slow speeds with a lot of torque and the quietness and smoothness of full electricity. That should be out sometime this year, and I am looking forward to it. Now, I met up with Chris from the Topher earlier this week while he was driving the Jeep, so let's break over to him and hear what he's got to say about the Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited EcoDiesel. All right, we're here with Chris from the Topher. We're going to go actually use the Jeep a little bit, not for off-roading because no one really uses it for that, but we're going to go do outdoorsy stuff. So we're heading down to a park and we're going to drive along a little bit and sort of just observe this Wrangler Rubicon with the new EcoDiesel 3-liter motor. You can hear it running right now. I think this color is called Punkin, Punkin, space IN, maybe with an apostrophe hidden in there somewhere.
Nice.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
Let's take a hop in and let's kind of hear. You spent a little bit more time in it than I have so far. Let's kind of let's talk about it.
It's pretty sweet. It's pretty expensive.
It is. You're right. That's a good place to start. It's almost as if we need to have a disclaimer in the video that this truck costs $65,000.
I don't know though. You know, I know so many people who have $100,000 into their Jeep Wrangler.
Really?
Like, it's ridiculous. So 65, that's nothing.
That's true.
Child's play.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, there are your diesel sympathizers in the world, but then there are kind of like people like us that we just genuinely appreciate what a diesel can offer. This thing's getting pretty good gas mileage. The throttle response and sort of torque response and engine is really well dialed in.
On the road, it feels great, and
Yeah.
off-road, I mean, this would be the best engine off-road for any off-road enthusiast or person who's taking their Wrangler out to, you know, wherever. You get great fuel mileage. The torque is amazing. The response is great.
And you could complain about the noise, but if you're going to complain about the noise in a Wrangler, then you're not driving the right vehicle to begin with.
No, I mean, I prefer this engine from a drivability standpoint so much more than the V6.
Yep.
That it's kind of a no-brainer. The only thing that would hold me back is just modern diesel maintenance.
Yeah, running the DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, and dealing with all those extra emission parts. And then there's the cost of the engine itself. I think it's a $4,000 or $5,000 upgrade.
Yeah.
And if I were buying a Wrangler, it would probably be a sport, manual transmission, probably a two-door. I'd be trying to keep it kind of under that $35,000, $40,000 range at most. So the diesel would be a little bit hard of a justification for me. But if I were going full tilt like this, full four-door, Rubicon model and everything, I'd probably pick up the diesel.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see a cost break-even analysis over the course of years based on fuel economy.
I mean, if you were putting a lot of miles on this and you were towing with it,
towing's a big part as well. Yeah.
You know that's really where diesels kind of start to come into their own. Is when you're towing a load. I don't know what the tow rating for this Rubicon is. It's
probably still 3,500.
Yeah, it's probably not amazing because the suspension's so soft.
Yep.
But you know, depending on what you're doing, a diesel can make a really good case. And if you're putting a lot of miles, a lot of road trips, it kind of starts to make sense.
Yeah, I agree. What I'm even more excited for is the upcoming plug-in hybrid Wrangler.
I know.
I think that's going to be really cool. I think, especially, I really, really hope they give us the option to have an EV hold mode. Because what I really want to do is I want to charge up at my house, be fully charged, and drive on gas to get out to the trail.
Sure.
And then put it in EV mode and off-road in silence.
I'm really curious to see what type of like torque distribution, electric motor input will happen in that off-road variant. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. In theory, a fully EV off-roader would be great because they could put electric motors on each wheel and perfectly articulate torque management and power at each wheel. It's an imminent future.
I know. You don't have to worry about locking diffs. You don't have to worry about traction control. You just send power to all the wheels that need it.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
All the amenities work really nicely. You've even got stop-start, which I didn't really even know was much of a thing for diesels, but apparently it's not too hard on it. But yeah, you got the heated steering wheel, sheets up quick and nice, heated seats, remote start, good audio, honestly, really good audio system.
Yeah, sounds great. There isn't a whole lot that's bad about this car, except
for just what it is.
It's a Jeep, and it like the body motion is like a waterbed.
Yep, you can see, I can turn the wheel this much.
Do the vehicle virgins handling test?
Yep, and barely anything is happening. Yeah.
Nothing happens.
A strong input. There's a delay. Yeah. There's like a whole half a second while it loads up on its plastic bushing or rubber bushings and then makes its way. But
an interesting observation that I noticed immediately driving this Rubicon. So I was just on my honeymoon. We rented a Jeep Wrangler base 4-door, same as this, but just the base model.
Okay.
On Maui, and we put 700 miles on that Jeep over the course of our week there. It was awesome. I loved it. It had great road manners. It wasn't wallowy. It wasn't dipping and bucking all over the place around corners. It was really well buttoned down. It almost felt like the Gladiator does from like a suspension dynamic standpoint, where it felt a little bit more like a normal vehicle instead of like a Jeep. But this and the Sahara that I drove last year feel like Jeeps. So I don't really know what the difference is between this and the Sahara and the base model. Is it the sway bar disconnect? Is it some of the off-road bits that add slightly different suspension to the packaging and change the handling dynamics? But I was really impressed with just the base model Jeep. I loved it.
Interesting.
So I don't know. Maybe commenters can chime in and
maybe
tell me why that is.
all the FCA engineers watching Daily Motor can weigh in and let us know what it is.
It can't really be the tires, because these tires have to be stiffer than the all-seasons that we're on.
You would think, yeah. Yep. Now this Rubicon has the Freerider top. It's pretty awesome. I don't know if there's a max speed you're supposed to open this. Oh, but you can just touch that. It's gonna get loud in here, folks. Hopefully my hat doesn't fly off. And then you've got an open top, and it just keeps going.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I don't want my jacket to fly out or anything, so we're going to close this. But I love that.
That's a feature worth buying, because this isn't as noisy as the rag top, the full rag top. And the hard top is a real pain to take on and put off.
It really is.
You scratch it up every time. You can't avoid that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, obviously it's not going to give you the full 100% experience, but it gets you like 90% of the way there of having your roof off with 10% of the effort. And for most people that buy a Jeep, I think that's all they want.
That's amazing. No, I love that.
And it probably adds some weight over a soft top, or maybe even the hard tops, but when you're talking about this vehicle, I mean, who cares?
Yeah. Something to get stuck open in the rain, in the middle of the Rubicon Trail.
The whole cabin's waterproof, so, as long as you're waterproof, then you're good to go.
Yeah. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Is the whole cabin waterproof?
Yeah. Yep. All these things have like a rubberized inside, so
They do.
Yep. Everything, you can just take a hose to this.
Huh.
Yep. Wash it out.
So many cool little features on these things. I understand why people really love these.
Yeah, the little
these
accents
Jeeps.
like that Jeep crawling up the side of the window, and I know there are various different heritage icons around the vehicle, and it's one of those, we kind of talked about this with the Tundra TRD last week, but there are certain vehicles that elicit an emotional response, and the Wrangler doesn't.
This is one of the few new ones that still does it, and the reason that is, it's old school.
It is. You're right. We're coming back to that.
But they've done a nice integration of modern technology. Like this infotainment works super well. All the features, all the things I have here. We have all these luxurious amenities. You've got a heated steering wheel, heated seats, radar guided cruise control, no lane keep or anything. But honestly, it probably wouldn't work that well anyway. None of it really does, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But I love the way that you can use old school regular cruise control.
Yep, right there. FCA does a great job with that, having both options right here.
There's only a few manufacturers that do it, and FCA I think has the best integration.
Yep. Yeah, everything that it's like they really thought about this vehicle, about okay, what do users actually care about and what do they not? Because things that you actually use, the heated seats, steering wheel, blind spot monitoring, cruise control, audio system, all those type of things work really well, but then they kind of left out the things or didn't emphasize the things that don't really matter too much. I think FCA makes some of the best infotainment systems. They're pretty much lag free, they look good, they work well, they're easy to use. Redundant controls here for a lot of things. That's good.
I'm impressed.
Yep.
This red is a little bit contrasty with the orange.
It is weird.
Is my favorite combo, but it's fine.
Because it's red in every Wrangler.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird that they do that. You would think that there would be a degree of color matching. Maybe it's an option. You can just get this black or something like that, but I don't think so. There is something really cool about just being able to bomb down a dirt road like this and just not care. I mean, every bump is filtered to the same degree.
Yeah. You don't really feel a whole lot.
No.
It's pretty amazing.
Whether it's, we've got like washboarded out bumps here, and it's just kind of like do-do-do. Whereas this diesel motor, Uh-oh. We broke it.
Broke the ABS.
It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be an off-roader. I love when things break on camera. Wow.
What happens if you turn it off and turn it on again?
Yeah, well, let's try that. But yeah, you really can't go wrong with
Besides
any sort of...
the two things that just broke.
Alright, well, Chris and I are going to go do some electric unicycling using the Jeep for Jeep active lifestyle things. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, man, of course.
Now, as I said at the beginning, I've really come to enjoy this Wrangler. It's one of those cars that, yes, it's not good at everything. It's got its quirks. It's really bad at some things even. But just the way that you live with it and the way that you feel behind the wheel, climbing into it, looking at it, all these sorts of things. The Wrangler's been around in various iterations for so long, and Jeep's done such a good job with it, especially with this JL generation. Now is an excellent time to buy one because they've been out for a few years, the kinks have been worked through, prices aren't as expensive as they used to be because the people who are champing at the bit to get one have already gotten their hands on one. You can get some amazing lease deals on them. If you've ever considered owning a Jeep, it's something you've wanted to do, they've been attractive to you, I highly recommend going and checking one out. You really need to get behind the wheel and see how you feel with the vague steering, kind of the wandering, the odd driving dynamics. But if you don't mind them, maybe even like them, then the Jeep's a really cool package. Thanks everyone for tuning into this video. If you'd like to see more Wrangler Unlimited, Rubicon, EcoDiesel, blah 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 coverage, check out the Winding Road channel. We're doing a POV there. We've covered a few other Jeeps as well. Check out Chris's review at the Topher. I'll put the link down in the description. And as always, please be sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube goodness, and we will see you on the next video. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor. Drive on.